Welcome to another episode of Purpose Today. I'm your host, Dr. April Dobson, and I'm very excited today to be able to sit down with a special guest, Dr. Mathias Edor. He's a medical doctor, he's a published author, and the founder of Young and Influential Group. I'm so excited to talk with Dr. Mathias Edor, and today he's going to talk with us about why it is so important to be focused in your pursuit of purpose. And he's going to give us what we need on the tools to build the life that you want. So you don't want to miss this very special episode of Purpose Today. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned for our special guest, Dr. Mathias Edor, after these messages. Today's episode of Purpose Today is brought to you by the Purpose Professionals community. Scan the QR code to learn more information on the Purpose Professionals community on School. This community is for professionals and entrepreneurs who are intentional about aligning their profession with their purpose. You have an opportunity to connect with other professionals on the Purpose Professionals community, to grow and develop your career, to pivot to pursue your purpose, and to purposefully align your business and connect with other like-minded, purposeful professionals. Join the community on School by scanning the QR code. Thank you again for tuning in to Purpose Today. I'm so excited to talk with Dr. Mathias Edor, and we actually just had the opportunity to talk with students here at the University of Ghana at the 𝐶𝐒𝐒 Learning Center. So welcome, Dr. Mathias.
Thank you. It's a privilege to be sharing with you on the topic of focus and purpose.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I know just because we talked to students here at the University of Ghana 𝐶𝐒𝐒 Learning Center, there may be some people who are watching this episode today who didn't have the privilege to attend this wonderful summit. So is there anything from today's summit that you would like to share, that you would like people who are watching this episode to know that they didn't have the opportunity to hear?
Okay, so there's been a lot of lessons, personally for me, from the discussions we've had. But I would just love to emphasize some of the points made, that there are a lot of opportunities out there, and it is important that as professionals and individuals, we intentionally seek out such opportunities. We intentionally look out for avenues to be able to get some of these opportunities, and it is through individuals or people that we connect and network with that we can have access to some of these opportunities. So it's important to continually network, sometimes even across your scope of career or your scope of profession.
Absolutely. I agree with that wholeheartedly. And I know we kind of just jumped right in, and I did give a little bit of background, for those of you who are tuning in. I shared that Dr. Mathias is a medical doctor. He's a published author, and he's the founder of Young and Influential Group. But there may be some people who are watching and they say, okay, Dr. April, you gave us this information, and, it's just a broad overview of some of the things that he does, but they don't really know who you are as a person. So what would you like to share with our viewers about yourself today?
So, like you rightly said, I'm a medical doctor, and I'm an author and the founder of Young and Influential Group. So the Young and Influential Group is a group of young people that aims to reach out to secondary school students and young people. Our focus is mainly from people aged 15 and above, where we try to ground them in purpose, ground them as early as possible to discover their purpose and then to be influential in society.
That's good.
Yeah. To have a positive influence in society. So that's the main focus of the Young and Influential Group.
That's wonderful. And, I think with you highlighting the young influential group and why the group exists and ensuring that you're encouraging youth to be influential in society, and to, pursue their purpose. I think once we know our purpose, once we're fulfilling our purpose, now we can give back to the world and serve our gifts and our purpose to the world. So because you talked about purpose like so early on, I think it's good that we talk about your perspective on how important purpose is in our lives and, our efforts to fulfill purpose. So can you share your thoughts?
I'll start by talking about purpose. So in Jeremiah chapter 1, we are told that before God forms us, He has a plan or He has a purpose for each and every one of us.
Yes.
I personally believe that it's a miracle for an individual to be given birth to. So you must first of all see yourself as a miracle, because in reproductive studies we are told that the sperm has millions of cells, and then you happen to be that one individual. So God has a plan for you. You might be from a divorced marriage, or your marriage, your birth was not even planned, but God has a purpose for each and every individual.
Yeah.
So now the question is, how do you know your assignment on earth? You know your assignment on earth by some things that happen through your growth and then through your education. Now there's this Japanese concept called 𝐒𝐔𝐁𝐒𝐑𝐈𝐍𝐿, where we talk about what are your gifts, what are your interests, what does the world needs, and then what can you do to get paid for. So understanding your purpose has to do with you being able to know how you can use your gifts. It could be singing, it could be writing, it could be public speaking, it could be entertainment. How can you use these gifts to serve your community, to serve your world? And sometimes by so doing, you might even be paid for this gift beyond the satisfaction we each derive from what we love to do.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And I have to say, and I have to go back to this, you talked about Jeremiah.
Yes.
And, God having a plan for us and knowing us before we were even formed in our mother's womb. Yeah. And because He created us, that is how we know our purpose, right? We go back to God, we go back to the Creator, so He can reveal to us why we're here. Yeah. He's the one who created us. Yeah. He put all of the gifts and talents and purpose inside of us. So we have to go to Him so He can reveal that to us. He put it inside of us, and He can show us, and reveal to us what that is. And it is oftentimes that our purpose does find its way. God finds a way to allow our experiences to in some way be weaved in, to what our purpose is, but we have to go to Him, and that's how we discover our purpose. So, you talked about the importance of purpose. Have you always had this perspective? Like, what was the turning point for you that made you realize that purpose has priority in our life?
Yeah, so growing up, actually, I've had this desire to serve in my community. So I usually involve myself in community services. I find myself around the adults in community whenever the community services are ongoing. But then the turning point came somewhere in secondary school.
Okay.
So we had this, just like how you came around today with Dr. Petrina to organize this fellowship or this workshop.
Yeah.
So we had this workshop, and then one gentleman came to speak to us. I was a science student by then, and then he spoke about purpose and then career, how to further pursue your career post-secondary school education. And then after his introduction, he spoke a little bit about being a medical doctor. Yeah. And then I decided that I want to be a medical doctor so I can be able to serve in my community and reach out to the sick and the disabled in community. And that was when I started learning about this whole idea of purpose. So being a doctor, I have the privilege to attend to the sick in society.
Yes.
And in the course of that, I began to discover who I am and what God wants me to do in my community.
That's good. That is so good. And we really didn't talk about it really much, but I want to go back on some things that you just said, but we didn't talk about actually where you practice.
Yes.
And so Dr. Mathias actually practices here in Ghana. And I'm going to let him tell you about where he practices. But before we get into that, I just want to go back a step. So you said secondary school, like you already had a desire to help people, to give back, to be involved in communities. But it was in secondary school that you had someone who came in, talked about purpose, talked about different careers. And at that point, you decided that you wanted to be a medical doctor. So tell us a little bit about the journey for you, and we're going to come back to where you work, but the journey for you in going from discovering in secondary school, I want to be a medical doctor, to actually becoming it, because I believe that that will get into focused and being focused to pursue purpose. So can you tell us a little bit about your journey?
Okay. So like already said, I started off in secondary school, but from secondary school I finished secondary school in the year 2013. Then I proceeded to the University of Ghana, where I studied medicine, completing in 2020. And then right after completion of medical school, you start a house job, which is like a 2-year mandatory service in the hospital, where you are grounded in your profession.
Okay, so kind of like residency in the US.
Residency. So I did that. Then something happened post-secondary school. I wanted to be a leader in society. I wanted to be able to steer a project in community. So I decided to expand my knowledge base, and that led me to pursue further postgraduate studies in management and administration, which have actually refined my idea about purpose and then how to become a better leader in society.
Absolutely. That's great. And I really appreciate you highlighting that. So we didn't talk about it earlier, but where are you currently practicing now that you're done with the residency, you're done with the in-clinic requirements, where are you practicing currently?
I'm currently practicing at the 𝐒𝐔𝐁𝐒𝐂𝐑𝐈𝐏𝐍 Hospital, which is in the Volta region of Ghana. I practice as a public health practitioner. I'm usually involved in community education and then outreaches in communities.
That's good. That's very good. And if there's someone who's watching who has a desire to become a medical doctor or go into the healthcare profession, what are some of the things, the tips that you can give them, some practical things that they can do between now and that time?
Okay, so it depends on the stage at which the person is in their education, but basically in Ghana, and for that matter in Africa, you would have to study some courses in Ghana. I'm not too sure about how it is in the West, but once you reach science in Ghana, it affords you the opportunity to get direct entry into the medical school. But for mature students, we have a program called the GEM. That's the Graduate Entry Medical Program. So you just have to prepare for an entrance exam, which takes about 6 weeks. And then you sit for the exams. Once you pass through, you get the admission, and then you take it up from there.
Okay, that's good. Now I want to go back to something that you said about having this desire for leadership and making an impact and making a change. And I think it's very important that we find ways to impact our communities, to impact our countries, our states, our world, around us. And I think leadership is very key in that. So my question for you is, what are some things that people can do practically to enhance their leadership skills and to really, demonstrate leadership skills in different arenas? Okay,
so I'll start by answering this question this way. First of all, each and every one of us is a leader.
Absolutely.
Once, even in your home or in your family, you should see yourself as a leader. You should be able to lead your relatives, your siblings. How do you do this? By being an example, showing an example. And I always emphasize biblical. I mean, everything we do has values.
Absolutely.
We ground our activities in principles. So take, for instance, we are in a house. you know that it's not even right to fight. So growing up, I used to fight, but along the way, I knew that I had to be a leader for my family first. So I tried to resolve issues at home.
Yes.
Then, when my leadership skills was being noticed, I was now being engaged in my church. And I want to emphasize very much that it was in church that I actually discovered my leadership potential, where I started leading prayer meeting, Bible fellowship meeting. My understanding was expanding. And then another key thing to develop leadership is listening to some mentors. One of the very important mentors in my life was Dr. Miles Monroe.
Yes.
In fact, I have read a lot of his books on purpose. You know, he talks a lot on purpose. So to develop your leadership skills, you need to research, and then the place of mentorship. You know, you have to get some mentors. It might not be physical mentors, like I mentioned, Dr. Miles Monroe.
Absolutely.
I watch a lot of his podcasts, like what we are doing. There are a lot of materials online, a lot of things you can watch from. How do such people become good leaders? Nelson Mandela, another leader, I read his biography. And another thing is to read biographies about such great leaders. How did they turn out to be very good communicators? How did they become very good leaders? So these are some of the things one can do to develop their leadership skills.
That's great. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I know we talked about just some of the initiatives. You know, we talked about Young and Influential Group, and you talked about the influences that you had that led to you having the perspective that you had on purpose. And I so love and admire Dr. Monroe. I mentioned in some of our private talks that he came to Omaha to ambassadors every year for Shake the Nations. But I think it's important for people to have mentors, for people to focus on, you know, ensuring that they continue to, you know, to develop. So that's very important. But I want us to like pivot a little bit. And I know that even though you're a medical doctor, even though you've honed your skills, and you talked a little bit earlier about how you've developed even more as it relates to purpose, but we didn't talk about this. You're also pursuing a PhD. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes. So I had always wanted to be a surgeon. At post-medical school, I wanted to go into residency and then specialize as a surgeon. But along the line, I noticed something. Leadership is everything. And I had wanted to pivot and be a community leader, because there are a lot of issues in the society that could be addressed if we have the right kind of leadership. So I decided in 2020, that was when I gathered some young people in my community, and then I led some community initiative. We began to teach secondary school students, because I wanted them to perform much better in the academics so they can have the opportunity to climb further. And so I decided to pursue a master's in public health, mainly because a master's in public health gives you some leadership principles, and then your ability to go into community and do public health, pivot into public health. So I pursued the master's in public health, and then now that I've returned permanently to 𝐒𝐔𝐁𝐒𝐂𝐑𝐈𝐏𝐍 Hospital, there's a university, that's the University of Health and Allied Health Sciences. In fact, it was through one professor, Professor Mohe, who is an obstetrician gynecologist. I went to see him, and then upon discussions, he encouraged me to pursue a PhD so that I can blend my clinical practice with academic leadership.
That's good. That's really good. I think that's wonderful that you're doing that. It makes such a big difference and such a big impact. Now, I know you also participated in a program in Arizona. Can you tell us a little bit about that program and how you got involved? Because I think that could be something that people from around the world could potentially take interest in and apply to.
So I happened to participate in the 6-week Mandela Washington Fellowship. That's organized by the State Department of the United States. And it was a privilege. It was a it was a privilege of a lifetime, I must say. And the Mandela Washington Fellowship is actually for African countries where the young leaders in Africa are identified and then interviewed and subsequently granted the opportunity to further hone their skills to be leaders, to be better leaders in society.
That's good.
So I was privileged to be on that fellowship.
That's wonderful. Yeah. That's wonderful. Yeah. And thank you so much for sharing that. Now, I want to pivot a little bit to talk more about your books, because you have several books that you have published. So can you tell the viewers about books that you've authored and how they can find your books?
Yes. So I've authored, in fact, one of the books, my best selling books, is the Blessedness of Youthfulness. Now, it's actually based on Dr. 𝐒𝐔𝐁𝐒𝐒𝐑𝐈𝐏𝐍𝐿 book on the defining decade.
Okay.
Yeah. And she mentions that your 20s are very, very critical in developing long-term skills, or, working in purpose.
Yeah.
And she actually emphasizes that your 20s are very, very critical to establish some of this value system for yourself. So that's one of my best books, and we are currently working on to get it on Amazon. We are currently working. So by the end of this year, it will be on Amazon. And then I also have a book on leadership. My leadership book. That's actually the second best book I do from the recommendations of friends and colleagues. So these two books will be on Amazon by the end of this year.
Good. That's good. But in the meantime, how do they purchase?
So the meantime, we have soft hard copies in a store in 𝐒𝐔𝐁𝐒𝐒𝐑𝐈𝐏𝐍𝐿.
Okay.
Yes. So if you want a physical copy as of now, it's only available in 𝐒𝐔𝐁𝐒𝐒𝐑𝐈𝐏𝐍𝐿 currently.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And if they want to order a soft copy?
Yes. So you can order through our social media handles.
Okay. Fantastic.
Yeah.
So we'll come back to how to contact you here in just a little bit. Now, what else is on the horizon for you? What else do you have planned?
So currently I see myself pivoting more into academia. Yes, I see myself. I really want to contribute to knowledge in the public health space. And on the issue of purpose too, I have now identified that I want to focus on adolescent and reproductive health.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the main area of focus and my main area of research. I'm focusing more on adolescent health and then family and reproductive health. So I want to be more involved in academic leadership. I'm looking forward to taking up a lectureship position at the University of Health and Allied Health Sciences.
That's wonderful. Yeah. I tell you, this is great. And I think, because the central focus of what we're talking about today is, focused in pursuit of purpose. We really build the lives that we want. Yeah. You were able to see what it was that you were desiring, and you took those efforts, towards it. And I know we didn't share during this time how God opened the doors for your medical school to be paid for. Yeah. But what are some things that for you that you would want to share with viewers about their focus in order to pursue purpose and their focus to be resilient, to be able to do what they're dreaming about and build the life that they want?
Yeah. So I like the fact that you brought in the idea of resilience. And I think resilience for me has been very instrumental in who I am today. And of course, focus. So I put up my mind that I want to do this. And one thing I've realized is the abundance mindset.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be limited. Actually, there are a lot of opportunities. I have been privileged to be on a lot of scholarships throughout my education. I've had the opportunity to be on the Accra Rich Church Scholarship. I've been on the Ghana, the scholarship for university students throughout my university education, and like the Mandela Washington Fellowship. I've also been on the fellowship called the 𝐒𝐔𝐁𝐒𝐒𝐑𝐈𝐏𝐍𝐿 Fellowship. So I realized that it's as a result of my persistence.
Right.
Sometimes I've been rejected at several places, but because I am determined to do this, I keep giving it effort. I keep applying. I keep showing proof that this is my interest. This is what I really want to do. And then the opportunities come. So in the pursuit of purpose, sometimes there may be setbacks. It could be financial, it could be people, it could be the human resource. It could be anything, but you must be determined that I really want to pursue this path. I want to pursue a career in development finance and whatever it will take. But you must put yourself out there to be able to attract the opportunities. And it's as a result of this processing that you develop resilience at the end of the day.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, I know that some of these same approaches that you're saying, they apply from a professional standpoint. Yeah. Are there any other things that you want to add when people think about focus and resilience, specifically professionally, and how those can be helpful not only in the workplace, but as they have SMART goals that they've established and things that they would like to do for their professional growth?
Okay, so focus is important because there is a quote that says that multitasking it doesn't really help. Your ability to be one-minded really helps. So if you have a project and then you are not distracted, and then we live in an internet world where there are a lot of distractions around us,
right?
Social media, and let me even bring this. There was a point in my life where I actually planned out my use of social media, and it's something I would encourage viewers that your use of social media should be structured such that you are not distracted from your core activity. Because take for instance, as a student pursuing your postgraduate studies, you are working on your laptop, you are studying on your laptop, and then you still have notifications. So focus comes in with time management. Your ability to manage your time comes in with focus, and then it also comes in with resilience.
Yes, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Dr. Mathias, this has been great. I'm pretty sure we could probably continue talking about a lot of things that would definitely help our viewers. And, I'm sure I'll have you come back in the future. But for people who are wanting to contact you, what's the best way that they can reach you? Which platforms, which methods? I don't know if there's an email or your social media platforms. How would they be able to reach you?
Yes, so I'm actually on, all social media.
Okay.
Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Yeah, the handle is Mathias Edor, Mathias Edor. So I'm on these platforms. And then with the Gmail, the E in the middle is double. Mathias Edor@gmail.com. But my handles are
And I want to make sure that anyone who is watching, that they can actually be able to see that information on the screen. And I do apologize that we didn't do that in advance. But you said your email is Mathias @gmail.com. And LinkedIn, is it just Mathias
Edor?
Yes. Yeah. And then do you have Instagram and Facebook?
Facebook, yes.
Okay, and then do you have a website or?
Yes, I have a website, mathiasedor.org.
Okay, and so LinkedIn, IG, and Facebook are all the exact same.
Yes. Okay. There are some differences, but I don't know. So Facebook is also double E.
So the Facebook is the double E.
And then IG there's a dot between the
Mathias and the Edor.
But
LinkedIn, the spelling is the same.
Yes, but LinkedIn doesn't have any dot.
Okay, so it's just because I want to make sure people are probably going to want to, reach you and have a way to reach you. So I want to make sure that that's available to them. And then you said you do have a website as well.
Mathiasedor.org.
Is there a www in the front of that or no?
Yes, there's www.
Okay. Yeah. And then is there an E in the middle?
Yes.
Of your website?
No. It's just Yes, that's all.
And it's the .org
site.
So viewers, please bear with us because I wanted to make sure that you all have the ability to reach Dr. Mathias if you would like to do that. So I do believe that, for those of you who want to reach him by email, LinkedIn, Facebook, IG. I'm going to have that available for you. So that is on the screen.
Yeah.
Dr. Mathias, you'll have to confirm that all of those look good, but that's how you can reach him. Now, is there anything else that you would like to add before we close out today?
Yeah, so just two things. Number one, God has a purpose for each and every one of us. Yeah, and like Dr. Mansmono has been saying, you have to discover your purpose. And I always say, there's something I've learned from the Japanese principle of ikigai. Find a way to integrate your profession to what the world needs, and then to what you can be paid for.
Right.
Yeah.
So putting your purpose into what the world needs and what you can be paid for simultaneously. Yeah. That's great. Yeah. Well, thank you again, Dr. Mathias. It's been such a pleasure having you here as a guest on Purpose today. I have your contact information that is on the screen. You know, Dr. Mathias has been so blessed that he didn't have to start in the wrong career. He was able to start from the beginning in the right career because he understood his purpose. But, you know, if there is someone who's watching, you're in a career, you know, it doesn't align, you feel that you need to pivot professionally, you're not sure where to start, email us at admin@purposetoday.com. Dr. Mathias's information is still there on the screen. And again, you know, it's been such a joy having Dr. Mathias here today, and such a privilege. You know, we really appreciate all of you watching on today, watching this episode of Purpose Today. And then for individuals who you have a desire to be intentional about aligning your purpose with your profession, you can join the Purpose Professionals community on School. The QR code is there. But we certainly thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Purpose Today with our very special guest, Dr. Mathias Edor. And if you haven't connected with him yet, I do encourage you all to connect with him on LinkedIn, connect with him on IG, on Facebook, whichever platform you're using, and get the conversation started with him. And you can also inquire with him about either of his books that he mentioned about earlier. So thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Purpose Today. I'm your host, Dr. April Dobson, and I do encourage you to join us again on our next episode of Purpose Today. Thank you. And thank you again, Dr. Mathias.